Sirianni's play calling. Bottom line is Falcons win the game with an awesome 2-minute drive. Well, after the loss, Eagles safety Reed Blankenship pointed to Jalen Hurts' leadership in the locker room, saying, Jalen led everything. No coach said a word. It's a player-led team, and at the end of the day, we know what we did was on us. We made mistakes, offense and defense. It's going to take everybody. I would actually argue this isn't on the players. The coaching decisions were awful from Sirianni. Everybody who has a whiff of analytics knows you kick field goals early in games and you go for it late.
Yes.
You don't kick to go up 6 with 2 minutes. That's just dumb football.
Right.
So this is not a good sign for Sirianni.
Well, coming off the story in the offseason that Hurts and Sirianni were not close. Now, Brady and Belichick weren't either, but generally, as a rule, offensive coaches are super close to their quarterbacks. I can't think of another example of it's not working. I mean, it's always that way. Unless you're getting rid of him and he knows it and you have a rough year at the end of a quarterback's career and the coach has to make a move. But even Andy Reid and Alex Smith at the end, Alex Smith is like, yeah, I'll mentor Mahomes. So,
also strange. And again, I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. I believe in him. I think he's a franchise
super
quarterback.
talented.
He's definitely a top 10 quarterback.
He was, by the way, in that game, he got cooking in that game. He was playing really well.
And he didn't have his big, deep weapon, A.J. Brown.
Right.
But, you know, my old neighbor is a big Eagles fan, and he's sending me all these stories like, look, we're out on Jalen Hurts. A lot of the Philadelphia Eagles fan base has seen enough of Hurts, and they're starting to sour. And I don't get it. And then you read the articles, and the local media is starting to turn on Jalen Hurts in Philly.
Yeah, I don't think he's the problem.
I don't either, but I guess people are just starting to doubt him a little bit.
He was great, an MVP-level guy when he had a great coordinator. So was Matt Ryan. Okay, like everybody benefits from a great coordinator. Look at Sam Darnold's benefit. Look at Jared Goff's career with McVay. Everybody benefits from coordinators. You don't think C.J. Stroud isn't benefiting from that hotshot young OC in Houston? Everybody does. Yeah. So my take is, yes, Jalen proved when he has an OC, he can be MVP of the league. Then they hired an OC that did not work whatsoever and didn't get any more job offers, like OC offers. He wasn't as good. Now it appears he's got a competent OC. Maybe not Shane Steichen, but a competent OC. Well, what's he done through 2 games? He's been very good. So when he had a great OC, he was great. When he has a competent OC, he's very good. And when he had a stinkeroo, he struggled.
It just goes to show how, like, 6 plays in that game completely changed the narrative. If the Eagles run 2 times and win this game, boom, Eagles 2-0, looking good in the NFC. And it's
That's
like,
right.
oh, sky is falling for the Falcons. They got the Chiefs.
That's what I said yesterday. There's a lot of positives. I would rather have the Chiefs roster. I would rather have the Eagles roster than the Falcons roster.
100%.
100%. So everything's good. And I also think now that New Orleans and Tampa look good, I'd rather play in the NFC East than the NFC South because New Orleans looks absolutely for real. And we know Tampa's got too many good players to stink. And that.
All right. Well, I don't want to start talking about Tampa and New Orleans. Let's talk Eagles. I really wanted to highlight this clip because off the top, I just want to ask you guys right off the bat, for all you Eagles fans out there, do you agree with what J-Mac is saying about how the Eagles media and the fans are done with Hurts? They've soured on Hurts. They no longer like him. They no longer want him. They don't think he's good enough. I don't know how true or false that is, and that's why I really want to just ask you guys. The actual tried and true Philadelphia Eagles fans on here, and I'm curious, like, what are your personal thoughts regarding this, as well as what has been your perception of the conversation, if you have access to the local media or just conversations with your other friends, other Eagles fans and whatnot. I've already made a video that I think I actually posted today where I did a whole deep dive in Jalen Hurts and just the Eagles as a whole, how good the offensive line has been, how good the run game has been, how good Jalen Hurts has been, actually. And I don't want to go and repeat all of that, but I'll just say that Jalen Hurts, week 2 played awesome. Absolutely played awesome. He was, I think, the 4th ranked best quarterback, if memory serves me correctly, in week 2, right? And he played great, and he was so He played awesome situational football against the Falcons as well. He picked up very important key first down conversions. He was extending plays, moving around in the pocket, rolling out, throwing on the run, just doing some really, really awesome things. And so there's just no way you watch week 2 and, versus the Falcons and say Jalen Hurts is a problem or that Jalen Hurts lost the game for the Eagles. Like, he put the Eagles in a position to win. I understand that the final play wasn't perfect and with the interception and stuff, but like that, those are the things that just happen in those moments, quite frankly. The Eagles were largely stunned. It was, yeah, obviously you don't want to end on an interception, and they only needed like another 30 yards or so. And I think they had the timeout, and all they did was need to kick a field goal. And I get it, but it was just kind of like the whole team was kind of shell-shocked, and I just don't put that all on Jalen Hurts. That is where I would then blame coaching at that point. And Jalen Hurts still needs to grow and develop as a quarterback, right? That's what a lot of these guys are. Unfortunately, he really only had 2 years with Shane Steichen, a great OC, to really develop and become what he was, his peak, I should say. Or not necessarily his peak, but like as good as we could see him be. And then there was regression and a lot of issues in last year in 2023, and so many of those issues have now already been resolved for the sheer fact that he's just healthier, and the fact that he's got a better OC, right? And as Colin pointed out, the OC for the Eagles, he didn't get up and go get a job right away. Like that's not happening right now. He was a disaster of an offensive coordinator, and I think this year so far, Kellen Moore has done a great job, and Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles genuinely look better this year so far than they did last year. I really, really believe that. And of course, it goes without saying, if A.J. Brown plays in this game, I mean, if they were pretty much had this game won without their number one weapon, their number one offensive weapon in A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts' favorite target, and he was gone. And yet Jalen Hurts still led that team to essentially a victory. It wasn't his fault. Like, you really can't blame him for why the Eagles did not win. And it's not hard to imagine if A.J. Brown was playing that the Eagles win that game much more convincingly, that they win it by a touchdown or 2. A.J. Brown changes the game completely. I mean, that's not even a question. It's not even up for debate. So, and if you're an Eagles fan that is angry at Jalen Hurts or unhappy, and you think like, oh, he doesn't do enough or he's not good enough, I mean, here's the reality. Like, what else are you expecting from a quarterback? Right? Is Jalen Hurts Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? The answer is no. He is not. But there's about 2 of those quarterbacks right now, right? I mean, everybody was so high on Caleb Williams thinking that he was going to take over the NFL like that, and like look at his struggles. Like, getting quarterbacks are hard. There's a reason why the Dallas Cowboys signed Dak Prescott to all that money. Because the truth is, as much as Eagle fans probably hate Dak Prescott, I don't think he's very good. The truth is that it's hard to find a quarterback as good as Dak Prescott. Whether you think he's good, whether you think he's great, whether you think he's average, it's hard to go out and get a quarterback, and especially get that quarterback developed, get that quarterback going at a pretty good, rate, sooner rather than later. So that's why there's only so many amazing top level elite, just transcendent quarterbacks. And the truth is that we've seen Jalen Hurts reach the highest levels. We've seen him be transcendent. We saw him do that in 2022, and specifically in the Super Bowl. Something that the vast majority, pretty much every single quarterback except for like 1 or 2, like 2 or 3, I suppose, do in the NFL right now. Dak has never done what Jalen has done. Jared Goff has never done what Jalen has done. I'm trying to think. I don't want to like go through every single quarterback right now. I mean, heck, not even Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow didn't play as good as Jalen Hurts did in the Super Bowl. He just didn't. Kirk Cousins. I'm trying to think of like the more seasoned veterans a little bit. Like, it's just the list is incredibly small. It doesn't even have to just be the Super Bowl, but just like truly carrying a team and balling out in the playoffs. Whether it be the Super Bowl, wild card, whatever it may be. And so that alone is something that you have to take in consideration. Jalen Hurts tends to not crumble. Does he maybe need to be a little bit more supported than, like I said, than a Josh Allen, than a Patrick Mahomes? Probably, but like I said, those quarterbacks are few and far between, and not to mention even someone, and you guys know I'm super high on Josh Allen. Josh Allen can't do it all himself. When the Bills leave it up to him to do everything by himself, it's not good enough. It's brutal. And when he doesn't have a good OC, he doesn't look as good either, right? So it's just football. I think Jalen Hurts is a special player. He's a warrior. He's a leader. He cares. He lays it all on the line, game after game after game, and I just don't see him right now, currently, as any type of problem. I maintain that coaching is a problem, although I think Kellen Moore is doing a really good job, and I want to see that continue. So I'm not, because I was very high on Kellen Moore going into this season, and I still am very much so. But I would love to see Jalen Hurts, before anyone ever makes any decisions about Jalen Hurts. It's like, I would love to see him with a true, brilliant, another true brilliant offensive mind, like what we saw with Shane Steichen, right? Whether that's a Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson, hiring them as like a head coach. I said that they should have gotten Harbaugh when Harbaugh was available, but obviously they didn't do that. That's where I'm like concerned about a Bill Belichick. I know Bill Belichick will get that defense rocking and rolling, but it's like, sure, if you get Bill Belichick to be the head coach, but then go get Bobby Slowick as the OC, which probably would not happen. That's hard to imagine. Because we just see all around the league that when you have a great OC or a great offensive head coach, it just matters. Sam Darnold went from not even being considered to being a quarterback in the NFL anymore to being an MVP candidate and balling out with Kevin O'Connell, right? Malik Willis couldn't do anything. He was with the Packers for literally like 12 and a half days, and he won a game and actually looked pretty good. I'm not going to say that he looked like a top quarterback, but he was able to win a game with Matt LaFleur. I mean, like, that is so hard. Baker Mayfield with Sean McVay, like, all of these things really matter. Coaching matters. Let me say it one more time. Coaching matters. We've seen Jalen Hurts with a great offensive coach in Shane Steichen, and he was transcendent and played great at the highest level, had one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time against the dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs. That is what is the ability of Jalen Hurts. And you can't say that about the vast majority of quarterbacks in the NFL. So I am really curious to see if what you guys all have to say about this in terms of if you're, over Jalen Hurts or not. So let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.